to What RT Noobs with General Disturbance. This is an M10 RBFN. It's a Tier 5 French premium tank destroyer. It's located on the north spawn of Malinovka, and this one is under the command of Waswolf of Reborn. Now, this is the premium M10, the premium tank destroyer brought in on the 75th anniversary of D-Day during a marathon. It's got a very effective gun, 76mm. It's capable of doing 115 alpha and penetrating 130mm with standard AP, and with the premium rounds, it'll go through 170mm, so it's got an appreciable increase in pen. It's basically just an M10, but it's an M10 with a premium capability, and these actually seem to be more effective than the American M10s in the game, which are standard tech tree tanks, not the premium variety. Now, they made 36 of these M10s for the French, and they used them during the invasion of France, and that's why you can see the hedge cutters or bocage cutters on the front of the vehicle. They put those on so they could go through the bocage in Normandy. It's getting nice shots on that T-34 down south. And the Panzer IV Ausführung H is now being penned, and he's being penned through the window of that wrecked building. Yeah, the shells are actually going directly through the window to hit him. Now, the M10, they built 6,406 of these, had a 5-man crew, and it cost the Americans $48,000 to build one. They started building them and designed them in 1942, and then they put them into mass production, and they produced a huge number of them. Oh, got his first kill, Skoda. Now, the Americans actually didn't name it the Wolverine. It was the British, actually, who gave it the name Wolverine. But it certainly did become popular. It's basically a very thin hull. It's basically like a Sherman or an M4, but very thin armour indeed. It's only got 12.7mm of armour. He's going to have to stay away from that water at this point, because if you go into the water here, you've got no chance of surviving. But if you go in here, you're safe. Let's see, it's managed to make it down. Oh, just around the corner, we've got a T-34. Now, you should be able to wipe him out with just one shot. Now, he didn't need to take that round, actually. He could have just moved a little way forward and then plonked around directly in. Oh, and that's the enemy arty trying to have a go at him. In fact, there's two arties, an M41 HMC and a BP on the enemy team. They've already lost their AMX-13AM. And you can see that shell that keeps coming in every 10 seconds. That's the enemy BP. Now, he's going to use the buildings to move forward without getting hit, but the moment he gets to the end here, he can be hit by those VPs, so he just doesn't want to get spotted. He spotted the Wolverine. Now, did he get spotted as he went past the gap there? No, he didn't, so he's okay, but if he takes a shot now, he will get spotted, and the Wolverine goes down. But was he seen? No, he wasn't. No sixth sense went off. Okay, we've got an AMX ELC this, and he gets a hit at very long range. He's being spotted by somebody else. He's outside our view range, and now we've got a T1 Heavy. He should be able to take the front of this, no problem, because it's really designed to stop 75mm shells in T1 Heavy, not a 76mm, which has got a little extra pen. And he's got his kill using standard AP. Now, he's taking a bit of a risk cutting across the field here. There might still be an enemy tank out there can spot him, because there's still a number of enemy vehicles in the game. In fact, they've got 7 still in the game. And he's just spotted an OI Experimental, which is just the other side of the lake. Now, he's not that far away, but he has been spotted now, so he needs to just cover this windmill to actually provide him a firing position. And the enemy RT's now trying to hit him again. Getting nice hits on the OI Experimental. Yep, easily getting through the armor. That guy's going to go. He got a fire there, but an automatic fire extinguisher went off, but he got the guy with the next shot. So 5 kills now for Waswolf. He's having a very good game. The AMX ELC is just in that dip next to the lake. There he is. Yep, so he can just drive up and shoot the guy. If he's got the 90mm, will suffer a 200 hit point loss. But he's stopped because he sees the M10 RBFM and he wants that kill. That guy is dangerous to him. Got a nice hit there for 215 and he gets the kill shot. But the enemy RT tried to have a go at him but failed. Now it's the ELC and he's got the 75mm gun. You can tell that from the size of the gun. And there's another kill. The M41 HMC is in sight. He's not looking our way. And oh, that was the VP and he got a pen. Yep, he penetrated us and took us out of the game. Unfortunate, but there you go. That's what happens. He stopped to take a shot in the M41 and the enemy VP said, right, I'll have you. But I think he has done enough because he actually managed to get a top gun by killing the M10 RBFM. And, well, I think he's done enough for his team because there's only the PP left. And our Stug guy, Al Surunji, is going in for the kill. He is in this corner. That's where the shell came from as I saw it. Oh! Has he moved? No, he's actually a little further north. And there he is in the distance. Oh, that was pretty final. The KV1 finished off the game. And it's victory. Well, here's the end of battle results, and he more than did enough. Waswolf managed to get his first ace tanker in that game in the M10 RBFM. You can tell it's the first ace because he got the scrolls underneath, and you only get that the first time. And it's only on Salty Jedi and the other Watt Record sites that you actually see that because they don't put it up on the Watt Replay site. He managed to get a fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle, a sharpshooter badge for getting 10 or more consecutive shots on the enemy, a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage for his team, and also a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he managed to get 7. He got the high caliber in that game. He did the most damage overall, at least 20% of the enemy hit pool. And he also picked up a top gun for getting at least 6 kills. In fact, he ended up with 7 at the end. He was on his way to getting a Radleys, and he probably would have got it if he got that M41 with the first shot. But I'm afraid the enemy Fifi tried to shut him down and did with a nice penetrating shot. The armor on this tank is not very thick. As I said, 12.7 millimeters. It's very thin indeed. So it was not a surprise that at the moment he stood still long enough, the Fifi, the 105 FH-18B2, was able to put a round in that went straight through his armor and extracted the rest of his hit points. His win rate from that battle, 12,306, which is Super Unicum standard. A very nice score indeed. Let's have a look at team scores. Well, the high damage in that game was 2,528 hit points. He was the only player to get over 2,000. The next highest scorer was the M10 RBFM on the enemy team, the one that he actually took out. He got 1,717 hit points of damage. Didn't beat Waswolf, though. And the third highest damage in the game actually goes to the Fifi on Waswolf's team with 1,225. And in 4th place, look, there you go. 4th place on damage was the enemy Fifi that killed Waswolf. And I think Waswolf's kill was the one that tipped him over the top and put him above the scores for the Stug 3 and the KV1 on his own team. So, yes, he did rather nicely out of Waswolf's death. When it came to kills, yes, Waswolf's got that one with 7 kills. The next highest scorer only had 1/3 or less than a third, and that was the Churchill 1, the KV1, the M10 RBFM, and the enemy Fifi. And of course, he was the kill for one of those. And when it came to base XP, he's got that one as well. So he's got the top in all 3 columns. 1,569 base for Waswolf. 632, such a low score, almost a third of the level he got, went to his own Fifi, and 620 went to the Churchill 1. He fired 35 rounds in that game. You only get 65 rounds of ammunition, so he had 30 left at the end of the game. 29 direct hits on the enemy and 23 penetrations, 2 splash, damage of 2,528, of which 1,780 were at more than 300 meters. So you can see a lot of the damage he was doing was at long range. 3 hits received from the enemy, 2 of them were pens, one of those was from the Fifi, I'm afraid, and it did, yes, it was an HE round, so it did the most damage. 1 non-penetration as well, and he spotted 4 enemy vehicles, damaged 8 of the enemy, killed 7, and did 1,030 hit points of spotting assist. He earned 76,910 credits from the game, 19,227 personal reserves, 65,000 for completing a mission, and that came to a total of 161,137 altogether. And after repair and ammunition resupply, he took away 142,704 credits profit. 2,353 XP on a premium, times 2 for the first victory, 4,708 for completing a mission, 942 for this being a premium vehicle, and 10,357 experience points altogether. It was a very good game in the M10. He was very aggressive. He was pushing forward all the time. And it was unfortunate that, yes, he got killed by the enemy Fifi at the end, and only because he stood still long enough to try and get a shot and get his Radley Walters. I think if he kept moving, I think the enemy Fifi would have had difficulty trying to keep up with him, and he might have got that M41 by getting closer to the guy rather than staying where he was and shooting from long range. Let's have a look at the armor. Yes, it looks quite nice like this. You can see that blade in front for cutting the bocage, the hedges in Normandy area. If we look at the live model, which is a lot easier just to see, you can see, yeah, anything's going to penetrate that vehicle. If it's all green, it's penetrable. There's very little that they can't penetrate. I mean, the mantlet, yes, maybe. They might have a bit of difficulty with the mantlet, but not much, because it's not that thick. It's only 57.2 millimeters on the mantlet, coming up to an effective of about 85 at the most, 86. So, yes, it's a very thin vehicle, negligible armor, and the reason for that is obviously to make it go faster, and also to enable them to build more of them. They put just sheet steel. They did put little nuts or attachments on the actual vehicle itself, and the idea was that the people would add armor when it got into field, so you can actually have several layers of armor attached to the vehicle, extra armor. And of course, that would act as space armor if you did do that. But most of the M10s I've seen don't actually have any additional armor. They just went without it, and they stuck all the other additional equipment, like the duffel bag, not duffel bags, but rucksacks and the bags that the crew bags or kit bags. They'd stick those on the outside, and they'd stick spare bits of track that they needed. Basically, it was only just the normal debris that you have on the outside of tanks. Nothing that would really stop not an artillery shell, but an armor-piercing shell from going straight through the armor. But it wasn't as fast. The M10 wasn't as fast as the Hellcat. It can only do 48 kilometers an hour, whereas the Hellcat could go a lot quicker. It could go up to 60 kilometers an hour. I think, if I remember correctly, it's 60. I can confirm that because I've got the stats somewhere on my desk, keeping them available for another replay. 72 kilometers now is the Hellcat, actually. But that was a purpose-designed hull, which was very, very light and with a very fast engine to make the thing go quicker. So the M10 wasn't particularly fast, but it was the hull that was chosen to fit the M36 turret to turn it into a Jackson so it can actually carry a 90mm gun. Okay, let's have a quick look at the modules. Well, this is unfortunate because Wargaming don't actually give you the module layout for the M10 RBFM, but it's basically just an M10 with naval sights, because they use naval gun sights on the M10 RBFMs, and there was only 36 of them, but they built 6,406 of the other M10s. So all we have to do is locate the other M10s, and I can do that by selecting those two there, and that's the M10 RBFM. There's the M10 Wolverine, and they do have the module map for the M10, so we can look at this one and see where everything is. Well, the driver is up front on the right-hand side, which is the same as on the M4, and he's got a driver's mate on the left-hand side, it's also the radio operator. In the back, we've got the gunner on the right-hand side of the vehicle. We've got the tank commander on the left-hand side of the vehicle. And the loader is behind the tank commander, shoveling the shells into the breech. And he's got a ready rack in the bustle of the turret. In fact, that's a counterweight at the back there because this gun is actually quite heavy. It was actually the 3-inch M7 gun, not a 76mm. It was a 3-inch gun. But it was quite heavy, so they needed a counterweight. And they had a ready rack of shells, which they could shove straight into the breech when they needed them. You can see further shells a little further down. So if you want to get an ammo rack, aim for the body of the tank, just underneath the turret. That should be able to get you an ammo rack. If not, then, of course, we've got fuel tanks at the rear sandwiching the engine. But, of course, you have to aim above the tracks to get the fuel tanks because they're not down below at all. But there's plenty of places you can aim on this vehicle to get some damage. You can see the engine's transmission is actually up front. So there was a shaft running through the vehicle right up to the front, driving the front wheels of the vehicle. But that's the M10 for you. It is also, as well, I should recall, it's an open cockpit. The turret is open, which means that it is fairly easy for an enemy arty to land a shell in the cockpit and wipe out everybody with one shot. And although I can't be certain that that's what happened to Waswolf, it is possible that he was taken out by one round that went right through the top. But of course, yes, he did end up getting penetrated by that VP and killed. But it was a good game. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And we've got more replays coming from Waswolf shortly, so do stick around and you'll see what he's been up to recently. Thanks for watching.